Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and I want to show you something that I hope is going to help you prevent or avoid the problems that I've had with my sewing machine. Generally speaking, this is just about maintenance and what it can cost you if you don't take care of your sewing machine. Sewing machines are an investment. They're not cheap. They range from, $1,000 up. And the one I'm sitting in front of right now, which you know as, and I'll just show it to you here. And this is my Janome 15,000 Horizon. You've seen me use it in other videos before, and it's an embroidery machine and a sewing machine. And this little sucker retailed for $14,000. I did not spend $14,000 on it. I got a really good deal. I got it for about half that price. But still, that's about $7,500 that I paid for this machine, so it is a major investment. And I just had some major problems with it, and let me switch back here again. I just had some major problems I had with the machine, and I had to have it looked at. Now, on the onset, what I want to say is this. These problems, I believe, were user error, my error, not a fault with the machine itself. At least that's what I'm hoping. So I've got the bill here for what they did to my machine. And when I took it in, I wrote a little note explaining the problems that I was having. And I also asked for general maintenance and cleaning, as well as fixing and replacing anything that needed to be fixed or replaced. So I gave them carte blanche what to do with it. Now, this, of course, is through my local sewing store, Ultimate Sewing in Oshawa. And they have a very reliable source for sending the machines out to have them fixed. And it's pretty fast. I did think I was going to be down for at least 2 weeks. Now, I have my other sewing machine, so that wasn't going to hold me back from things. But the other sewing machine, of course, doesn't embroider. But that's okay. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised when I got a call on Friday telling me that my machine was ready to go. And that meant that it only took about 6 days, counting weekends, to have it all done. So I was tickled pink about that. But then the person on the other end of the line says, do you want to know how much this is going to cost, or do you want to have a heart attack when you come into the store to pick it up? Okay, kind of ominous words there, right? So I said, yeah, let me know what it's going to cost. Now, I was figuring, I knew that a general cleaning was in around an adjustment, like just general maintenance, is about $90 to start off. So I was anticipating probably about $150, $160. No, my total bill was $296.51. Okay? Yes, I had sticker shock. However, as I said earlier, this is an investment, so, you got to put money back into it to keep things working. So when I got to the store and I got my itemized bill, I'm looking down the list to see exactly what was done. And what was done was, it says tune-up, $89.95. Okay, knew about that, wanted that. A yellow dot bobbin case, $40. A red dot bobbin case, $40. Now, these are the little bobbin cases that sit. Let me switch camera again. Okay, let's move that out of our way for a second. Right down in here, this is where your bobbin goes, and there's a little case in here. I know you can't see it, but you know what I'm talking about if you know anything about sewing machines. And this particular model has 2 bobbin cases. One bobbin case is for your regular sewing, and the other bobbin case is for high tension, and you use that, generally speaking, with your embroidery setup. So those are the 2 bobbin cases that were replaced. Now, I already had a replacement bobbin case for the high tension, and I was going to buy a second bobbin case for the regular tension. When I took it into the store, I did send in with it one of the damaged bobbin cases so they could get an idea of what problems I was having. So I was going to buy a couple of more of these anyways down the road, because I like to have them in reserve. So they would have taken that price off, which is $80, if I didn't want those. But I said, no, keep it, because I was going to buy those anyways, so fine. So right there between the clean up and tune up And the bobbin cases, we're talking $170 of my 296 right off the bat. So that, if I hadn't had it cleaned up and if I hadn't gotten the bobbin cases, this would have been considerably less money. Now, what else did they do? Well, the needle plate. Let's go back to the machine. The needle plate. This piece right down here on the top that sits in your slot or top of your bobbin, this was replaced. Now, I wasn't really sure at first why they replaced that. When I'd had the needle jams before, it did damage the plate a little bit, but not so I couldn't use it, I didn't think. But I have read since that in the little opening where the needle goes down in, there can be burrs if you've had a malfunction, if the needle has jabbed into your template. And those little burrs, although you can't really see them, can catch on the needle, the thread, and cause you all kinds of grief. So they replaced that for me. Now, that was the most expensive piece. That piece ran me $65, let me see here, $65. So that was a big expense. And the reason these needle plates tend to be expensive on these particular models of machines is because there's a little computer chip built into them so that the machine itself knows which plate you have in and matches it up with the appropriate feet for your sewing machine, which is kind of a nice feature. Okay, what else did they do? There was something called the hook bottom plate. I guess that was busted, and I'm not even sure where that's located, but I have a feeling it's down under here, down inside the machine somewhere. And that was $12.95, so not that expensive. And then there was a bobbin case position bracket replaced, and I know what that is. It holds the bobbin, a bobbin case in the right position. And I'd had some problems with it in the past, and I was showing how to sort of bend it, but it may have been bent out too far. I don't know, but that was replaced as well, and that was $14.50. So really, I guess this wasn't really out of the way when you think about it. I mean, as I said, if you got rid of the cleaning and tune-up, which why would you do that? If you're taking in, you might as well have that done. I asked for them to check the timing, because timing is very important. And they did that. And I also asked them to fine-tune my automatic threader. So all that, but that was all under the general tune-up. So no problems there. But get rid of that, get rid of the two bobbin cases, and my bill would have been half, basically. It'd be about $150, which I was thinking. So really, I shouldn't complain. I don't think this was unreasonable. Now, have I tried the machine since I got it back? No, I have not. But I'm assuming it's going to purr like a kitten. It better purr like a kitten for what I just paid for it. But what I want to now do is backtrack a little bit and explain to you exactly what was happening with this machine. Okay, so here we are. I don't have this threaded at the moment, and I think it has the embroidery bobbin in it, but that doesn't matter. What I'm going to explain is why I had to take it in the first place. I was merrily embroidering along one day, and then suddenly the machine made a horrible noise. There was a pounding and a thumping. The needle went down and everything jammed up and stopped. Now, this has an emergency system in it for something like that so that you don't, it doesn't hurt you or you don't get hurt. The needle did break as well because what basically happened was somehow the thread was pulling the whole bobbin and getting wrapped around the bobbin case itself and pulling it right up out of the machine, which basically jarred it underneath the needle in a bad position, and the needle was sticking into it, and thus the jam in the whole bit. So I cleaned that all up and got things put out. And the one thing you need to do, and this may sound like a bit of a pain in the arse to do, but I highly recommend that you do this. And that is when you have a problem, when your machine, your thread breaks or your bobbin runs out or the bobbin isn't coming up properly, whatever, re-thread your machine from the very beginning. I say this because I had a tendency that if my thread broke or something like that happened, but the thread was still down into the needle and everything like that, that I would just thread it from that spot. Well, that's not a good idea. okay? And threading is extremely important. Now, I have heard that 90% of the problems people have with their sewing machines are caused by misthreading. And I think that's what I did. And let me explain why I think this. Okay, so as in any machine, I have thread holders back here. There's a thread holder down in here. Thread goes through, goes around this eye, comes down, goes up, and over the pickup lever, or I'm not sure what they call it, but that lever that's inside here, okay? And then down through to your needle, etc. Now, here was my problem, what I think I may have done. This little lever part that's in here, I can put it up a little bit. Well, you probably still can't see it properly, but it's right in here, okay? The thread comes through and it goes in that. There's a little hole off to the side of this, and when you put your thread down through here, the track, it goes through that and you carry on. Problem is, sometimes you think you've got it threaded here, but it has missed. But I wasn't checking for that, and that affects the tension and the pull of the thread coming through the machine. So what I think happened was I'm merrily embroidering along and it's working at first, but I had missed the thread going into this little take-up lever or arm. It caused the thread to ball up, it tangled, it put tension on parts it shouldn't put tension on and pulled everything up, and then it jammed. That's my theory with all of this. So it is very, very important that you make sure your machine is threaded properly. And since I can open this little door on the side, when I thread it now, I'm making it a habit just to open that and make sure my thread is where it's supposed to be. So I think it was my fault. I think that's why the sewing machine jammed up, because I didn't have it threaded right. That's what I'm hoping. Like I said, I haven't tried the machine yet. Now, another thing about maintenance of machines, and this is something everybody skips over because it's a bit of a, not a pain, but it's just one of those little things, like a little nuisance part of maintenance, and that's cleaning your machine. And there are different schools of thought about how often you should do that, but generally speaking, I have found that most people like to clean their machine after every major job. And what does cleaning the machine involve? Well, in my case, it means getting out my little brush and opening up my bobbin case and taking off my needle plate and going in and cleaning out all the little lint bunnies that are in there that come from your thread. And there's quite a few. And then what I do is I'll take my vacuum cleaner, and I have a small attachment, a little one that'll fit inside here, and I suck up anything else. Now, some people use canned air, and I have a tendency to do that too. The only thing with canned air is it can, if it's been sitting for a while, spray out moisture when you first squeeze the trigger. So I don't want moisture in my machine. So I will squeeze the trigger and blow the air out of it. Let me show you what I mean here. Pardon my body in the shot. Okay, right here. This is canned air. Now, when you first pull the trigger, you may feel a little moisture. So I just press that a couple of times, get the moisture out, and then I give it a couple of quick shots down in here in the mechanism. I don't hold it for a long time, just give it a couple of quick blasts, and that seems to blow out some of the other dust. Now, I have heard people say that that's not good for your machine. I don't know who to believe. Some say no, it's going to build up more stuff inside your machine and that could cause problems. So basically what I do is I use it sparingly. I also clean the track in here. Let me just flip over. So inside here, where I was showing you that the thread goes around, I just take my little brush and gently brush out any dust or debris in there as well. And I usually take my needle off and my foot, and I'll just brush up underneath this area in here, because sometimes you get a little bit of trapped dust in there. The other thing I do is I oil rented lips. I oil my machine. And all it takes is one drop of oil, and it goes, you have to pull your bobbin out on this particular model, and there's a little spot with a wick in it, And you just put 1 drop of oil in there, and that's all you need. Also, this machine came with a little vial of some sort of cleaning fluid, which I'm not sure what it is, but you put a couple of dots of that onto a clean, lint-free cloth and just wipe around inside the holder for the bobbin case. That cleans up a little bit more of the dust and things like that. This doesn't take long to do, but it is something that needs to be done. And you have to get into the habit of doing it frequently, because that can really, you wouldn't think it could, but it can really screw up your machine. These things are very powerful. They can take a fair amount of abuse, but basically, and everybody will tell you this, in order to keep it running smoothly, to protect your investment, you need to clean it often, and it should be serviced at least once a year. Depends on how heavy a sewer you are. Now, I'm a very heavy sewer, as you know. So, the last time I had this machine in for general cleaning and adjustment was less than a year ago. So I'm starting to think that possibly at the rate I go right now, I may need to take it in every 9 months. Okay. Kind of like seeing the dentist, that kind of thing. But yes, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but you've already sunk a lot of money into this machine. I think you need to invest in the general maintenance of it as well, so you're free of problems. Now, having said all that, I'm hoping this machine is going to run like a kitten, purr like a kitten. I'm going to try it out later today, and hopefully all goes well. And by doing these things that I have learned from my mistakes, hopefully I won't have these kind of problems again. Time will tell. So anyways, I thought I would share this with you today to, just let you know that these things cost money, and you're going to have to invest in them and continue to invest in them if you want to keep them running smoothly. So I hope you found this useful, and we'll see you for the next Idiot Quilter. Bye for now.